Good morning, everybody. We are back again. For those of you who just joined us to talk about classic and new quizzes, remember that is available forever. So go and enjoy it, watch it, dig into it, share it with your teachers and other educator friends. Sorry, rookie mistake. I had YouTube playing in the background. Never a good idea, everybody. That's why you just heard double me. Nothing you want to hear. We're talking now about Gradebook. We've got about 25 minutes that I have Kristen, as you know, one of our favorite Canvas experts and rock stars, on here to walk you through Gradebook. We will take questions live. We have some of our support team that is on that will be answering questions as well. Some of our great advocates on. So ask away. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and let's get all these questions about Gradebook answered. Kristen, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. If you're joining us again, welcome back. I am going to talk all about the Canvas Gradebook right now. So I'm in one of my Canvas courses, and to get to my Gradebook, I will just choose that Grades tab over on the left-hand side. Now, when I go into this Gradebook, this is all that the teacher will see. Students obviously will not see all of their students and all of their classmates with their grades in it. This is just the teacher view. When students click on grades, if you have that available for them, they will just see their grades, their feedback. But as a teacher, you could see, if you click on that Gradebook, it looks like a standard Gradebook that we've been used to for years. You have your students on the left-hand side. You have your assignments and quizzes all over here in the columns. And all the way at the end, you have the totals for their work and everything that automatically totals up. So when I'm looking at this Gradebook, I have a few view options. I have my Gradebook where I can go into an individual view. Some might have Mastery Gradebook on there too, but we're going to be talking specifically about this Gradebook. Individual view would allow me to pull up an individual student with their grades. It's a great tool if you're doing conferences, or if you're working with just a specific student to go over what their grades are. That individual view is a great help. And you could also go into your Gradebook history too. The other view options would be in this view tab right here. If I click down, I have a couple of different views. I can arrange by filters, and it tells me the statuses. In the columns, it'll allow me to show notes or unpublished assignments, something that happens throughout the year, semester, however long your course is available for. This area in here will get really, really long. Something that I like to do and recommend is to uncheck those unpublished assignments so you don't see them at the moment. If they're unpublished right now, and if I don't have grades in there, I definitely recommend keeping that box unchecked, just because the length will be really long as you go through your Gradebook. So in that view area, you could also check the notes in here. So that notes will give you a little bit of an area to give a note for your students. Maybe you could write down that they have an IEP, or they're Spanish speaking, or ESOL, whatever notes you need to give for your students right in that area, you can do that. But that is completely optional as well. So you could have that unchecked or checked depending on what you prefer. Another thing is, and I know I've even seen a lot of issues with teachers not being able to see all their grades. It could be a couple things depending on your institution type. It could be that you're maybe not adding due dates, and that will pull it to the end of the whole year or semester. That's an option. So best practices is definitely due dates. And then one other one is if you have filters shown. So maybe you have a couple filters clicked. So you can have assignment groups, modules, sections, student groups, or even terms. Some institutions might have that. If I have just modules selected, I can look over to my right-hand side and I see that a new drop-down came up. So this drop-down will allow me to toggle between all modules, what assignments I have in each module. So if I just choose my assignments module, that already narrows down my grade book a lot more making me not see some assignments that I might have given to my students already. So if you're having trouble seeing assignments in your gradebook, check that filters option on the right-hand side. But it's a great tool if you're seeing a lot of assignments. So maybe you do just want to see one module. So I just want to see that week 1 parts of a plants module. Only those assignments from that module will show up in this area. Or maybe it would be by student groups. So I can arrange by the groups of my students or sections. So if I just want to see students in period 1 or period 2, or students just for ELA or math, or my first half of the day or second half of the day, depending on how your sections are broken up inside of Canvas, you can section it out there.
Kristen,
Okay.
really quick,
Yeah.
I know you already covered this, but will you show again, how do they hide information?
Yes. So there's a couple information pieces that you can hide. So the columns, it'll have notes and unpublished assignments. If you have it checked next to it, if you have that check mark next to unpublished assignments, you will see the unpublished assignments in your gradebook. And if you have that notes checked, you will see the notes next to your students. If you'd like to hide those, you could uncheck notes and you could uncheck publish assignments. And that will make your gradebook a little bit smaller and a little bit more manageable. And that filter tab will also allow you to hide some specific items in your gradebook too. So if I want to show just anything in one module, I can make sure that module is clicked and this drop down will come up and I could just show my assignments in my assignments module. So only the assignments in this specific module will show up in my gradebook right here. And I could toggle between modules, or I can go to all modules, which will show everything that I have in my gradebook.
So again, everybody, if you have that notes section toggled on, if you have the check mark by it, your students will see that. So just beware of what you're showing them and not, depending on what you want to share.
Awesome. So that would be that view option. A couple more things you could arrange by assignment name, as A to Z or Z to A, due date, oldest to newest or newest to oldest, points, lowest to highest, highest to lowest, or module first to last or last to first. So you're able to arrange it how you want and filter it how you want as well. Another option inside of the gradebook, and as you see on mine, there's a couple colors going on. To see what those colors mean, you could choose the statuses button, and the statuses will show you what color means the specific thing. So the blue means that was turned in, but it was late. The red is missing. Green means it's been resubmitted. Orangish is dropped, and yellow is excused. You're able to change the colors to any of these, but you're unable to change the statuses. So make sure you know that. I liked keeping it at the default colors just because I got used to it, but it's completely up to you. You could change those colors inside that gradebook for the statuses. So you can see on mine, I have 2 missing right here. I have an excused, and I have something that's turned in and late. When I'm looking at my gradebook, these are obviously the assignments. And then these columns will have the grades per student in there. When I come over here, I wanted to look at this one because this one is the color-coded one. And I have a couple of little symbols in here. So these symbols are for me as a teacher, is telling me that Pam and Dwight have turned in their work, but they have not, I have not graded it yet. So these little symbols, like a page with like a little exclamation point, that means I need to go in and grade these. And I could grade them directly from this area. I can click on these 3 dots up here, and I could go to Speed Grader, where I could check out their work for these, what they've submitted, and I could give them a grade right into this area if I need to, and then go to my next student and give them a grade in here. So that little symbol shows me that they need to have something graded, and that's on me. The other thing, so Jim had this excuse. I was able to excuse him because I clicked this little window. Maybe he started late, maybe he was sick that day. This little window pops up next to anybody's assignment submission or grade. I could click on that, and that gives me the option to code it. So I could change that to none status or excuse status, and I could leave comments for the student here as well. So there's many ways to do the same thing. I could even go to speed grader this way as well. But this would give him that excused option. Another thing is when I go over these assignments, I'm getting these 3 dots that come to these assignments, and this is one of my favorite parts inside of Canvas. So if I scroll over these types of angles, I can click these 3 dots. I could sort by, I can do speed grader, but my favorite is message students to. So if I click this message students to button, it will come up to students who haven't submitted yet, and it will automatically pull all of the students who have not yet submitted this assignment, and we'll send them an individual message that, hey, you have not submitted this yet, please submit this for me. And it will go right into their inbox or notifications. So that's a really cool feature. You could message who hasn't submitted yet, and it'll automatically pull them up, who haven't been graded yet, or who scored less than, let's say who scored less than a 50. Pam and Jim scored less than that, or actually it's out of 4 points. So let's say who scored less than a 3. Pam scored less than a 3, so I can message her, hey, try again on that quiz. Or I could do who scored more than a 3. Jim did. I said, hey, great job on that quiz. So that message student who option is really great because it'll automatically pull all of those students in all of those areas of what you're wanting to send to students.
Hey, once again, Kristen, we're getting some comments about the just that viewing feature. Yes. If you go up to view again for me. Again, everybody, remember that you have to make sure if you want a student to see the notes, you can make that happen. But if it's turned on, they will see it. So show them that once again.
The notes right here, if I turn it on, I can leave the notes. Maybe started, let's say she started today, 8-17. So I can save, and those notes will be next to Pam. That I know that she started that day. I could put like maybe has an IEP, so a quick little notes feature. If you want to see that, you have to make sure that that notes button is checked next to that student. Same with unpublished assignments. If you want to see those assignments that you have in your course that are unpublished, check that unpublished assignments button right there. So going over these again. I also have the option to curve grades, so I can curve grades if I need to on any of these. So if the average score is 60 out of the 100, and I could assign zeros to unsubmitted students, I can curve those grades based on current student scores. So 5 students, and then I curved those grades based on who had the closest to that 100, and then it automatically gave those other students a 0.
Kristen, let's take this one from Tika. Do we have to use classic Canvas quiz to add grades, or can we create our own?
Do we have to use Canvas quiz to add grades? You can create your own. So assignments are ones where you will create your own assignment that you can go in and grade yourself. So you could even create an assignment space and make it graded. And even if students are submitting to you something outside of Canvas, you could grade that and add it right into your grade book inside of Canvas. So this, let's say this assignment right here, students have submitted something to me. I can just give that grade directly into this area right here for students. So a lot of points, but I can give those points right to my students in this area. So you do not have to create a quiz to add grades, which is the basis of that question.
What about this one, Kristen? If you have one course, but multiple sections of that course, how do you designate which students are in which section?
So that depends on how your sections are set up. So if you've cross-listed your courses from maybe, I'm thinking it might be a different period, you will choose for your view options. You could filter by course sections. I'm going to take off the modules. And from the sections up here, it will tell you which section you want to look into and if I click on it, it'll show me which student is in that section. So my first grade one, only one student is in that section, and then I could filter by that. So it really depends on who is in your sections, and you could check that in settings.
Awesome. Where are the titles of these columns coming from?
Amy, great question. Those are coming from your actual assignments that you've created. So once you create an assignment, it's automatically, and if it's graded, it's automatically going to show up in this grade book. And you could click directly to those assignments just by clicking the titles in there.
Okay, what's the difference between Gradebook and Learning Mastery?
Great question, Andre. So Gradebook is your course grades with your student grades in it. Learning Mastery Gradebook is connected to the outcomes. So if you have outcomes in your course, that's connected to the Learning Mastery Gradebook.
Awesome. Back to this question of Kim's about if you have one course, multiple sections, she goes on and says, so that cross-listing needs to happen first, correct?
Yes, so if you have one course and if you want all of your students in that course, you would have to cross-list those courses into that one course. Yes.
Awesome. Let's take this one from Jennifer. If you do a Google form, will that get graded in Canvas?
Jennifer, great question. If you do a Google form, it will not automatically put in the grade in SpeedGrader or in the Gradebook. You're able to put that Google form in an assignment in Canvas, but you're going to have to put the grades into Canvas manually from your results from that Google form.
Great. Will the students see an accurate representation of the grade if you have yet to set up assignments and points?
Jen Marie, that's a great question. If you have not yet, then most likely they will not see that accurate representation of their grade. You could always hide this grade view from students in settings in the navigation and then enable it when you're ready for your students to see it. And it also depends, and I would ask your institution on what your grade book of record is, because sometimes it is Canvas and sometimes it's not. So ask your admin what your grade book of record is, and then set up those grade books accordingly.
This next one from Heather on YouTube goes right along with it. How do you transfer from another grade book?
So there's a couple ways to do that. I would ask your Canvas admin if you have grade passback set up. So grade passback is a great feature if you're not using Canvas as the official grade book. A lot of institutions are setting this up more now. Definitely ask your admin of what that consists of, because every institution is different. So there's a couple steps you need to follow, but typically in this Actions tab, you would have a button up here that says Sync to Gradebook, and that will push any eligible assignments over to that that gradebook, like Ms. Star that you're using. You could also export your grades, and this export button will create a CSV file of your grades with your students in there. So maybe your gradebook has a way where you can import those assignments and points. So that export file is also a great feature.
Okay. So Helen, excellent question. If you join us, I just put a link. We are doing a whole session on assignments right after this. The link is in the comments. You'll learn all about assignments during that one. Anything else, Kristen, before we take more questions that you want to make sure we cover?
Yes, I definitely want to go over some of the settings with the late policies. So if you have late policy set up in your course, you will choose this little gear icon all the way to the top right of your gradebook. And you can do a late policies. So you could automatically apply a grade for missing submissions. And I think this was a question early on. So if I automatically want to give a 0% if they're missing an assignment, that will go directly to that student. Or I can automatically apply deductions to late submission. So this is a really cool feature. So I can deduct 5% every day, hour, day or hour that the assignment is missing, and their lowest possible grade percentage they could get, let's say it's a 50. If I deduct 5% for every day that it's missing, but it will not go lower than a 50%. So these are really cool features. And you also have grade posting policy. So you could automatically post grades. So once the grades are visible to, once you posted the grades, they're visible to students right away. Or you can manually post grades. So by default, all of the grades will be hidden, and then you could go in manually and let students view specific grades after you've gotten finished grading those assignments. So you have your late policies in that settings and your grade posting policies in that settings area. And I know that you're going over assignments next. That assignments tab, that's where you will set up your assignment category weights. If we have any more questions, Mark, I'm sure we do.
We do. Kristen, take this one from us. One of our Canvas admins is actually asking, can you go over the grade posting policy? Faculty are getting so confused by this feature.
Yeah, so let's say if I'm going to go over it a little bit deeper, it's in that gear icon in the top right. So if I choose that grade posting policy, and if I choose manually post grades, students will not be able to see any grades that I've given them. So they won't be able to see, like, even if I give a grade and they see that something's been graded, or they won't see something's been graded yet. So if I choose that option, you will see that there is a little now like a manual icon right next to it. So I can click on these three dots. And I could go to that grade posting policy. So I manually, I think it's because it's already been seen by students, but I can unhide those grades and students will be able to see those grades once I'm done grading. I think that's a great feature, especially if you're grading as things come in and it's not necessarily due yet and you don't want students to be sharing their other grades. So that grade posting policy is I could automatically or manually choose when to post those grades for students. By default, it's set to automatically post grades, but I could hide those grades too. And that won't allow students to see it. And I could post grades when I'm ready. So that will allow students, everybody will be able to see their grade. And the students with the zeros will be able to see those zeros too. I could have changed that option right there.
What about this? We are, everybody, I think you're aware, we're doing these for 2.5 hours. We're talking about assignments right after this. I will drop the link in there as well. It's coming in the comments. Join us. That's starting in 5 minutes. I am going to take about 3 more minutes of Kristen's time, and then I will jump quickly to the next one. How do I set my grades as weighted?
So in here, you could see that like I have my classwork, I have my assignments. If I want to weight these grades, I would actually have to go to the assignments tab. So in that assignments tab, I have the 3 dots up here and I could assignment group weight, click weight based on the final grades. And that's where it'll pull up all of my assignment groups and I could give a specific percentage for each one and it will tell me the total. So like 50, 10, 20, 20. And then that'll show me my total percentage for everything. Everything else is weighted. And when I go back to the gradebook, it will automatically calculate everything that's in each of these categories for the percentage they're worth. And it'll show that total in that area. This is something I recommend setting up. Even if you are not using Canvas as a gradebook of record, it's best practice to have your Canvas gradebook weight percentage set up just like your gradebook of record.
Hey, and I'm calling this admin out. We like you. You're doing great. You know what? You're doing great. You know, we like you. What's the difference between imported assignments and assignments in the gradebook? This is probably something that we can cover during our assignments section that's starting right now. Again, dropping that link. Come join us. We've got a great question here from Ranjana. With COVID, can we give them a free pass for 24 hours? As in the late policy, is it possible to override that?
Oh, that's a good question. So with that late policy, it's pretty standard on that. Trying to think of a way we can do that. You could automatically go in, and even if you had that late policy, but somebody's turned it in late, you could always override those grades. So you don't have, even if you have that late policy posted and somebody got 5% off for getting it a day late, you can go back and revert their grade if it was a day late. So I would suggest doing that manually. So Kimberly, that answers that question.
Yeah, there was another question here from Kimberly about overriding, so that took care of that one. We are so grateful for all of you excellent educators. I'm so sorry, but I have to take Kristen away. We've got to jump to the next one again. The link coming in the comments right now is to this assignments section that we're doing starting in 2 minutes. All of these recordings are available at the same link that you just watched them on. You can see us on Canvas LMS on YouTube. Go to videos and you can see all 90 plus of these trainings that we've done over the past 4 or 5 months. Big thanks to Kristen, everybody. Hang in there. You're doing great. Talk to you soon.